The LI News newsmaker line is Grant Lally. Grant Lally is the GOP candidate for Congress in New York's 3rd Congressional District. Grant, welcome aboard. Welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hey, John. I'm doing great, and great to be on the show.
Of course, a lot of people don't understand this, but you are running against the big kahuna, Steve Israel, who's really the right-hand person to Nancy Pelosi, and on the left hand would be Barack Obama. He's also in charge of the entire Democrat Party, Congressional Party, across the country. So he's got his hands full, fighting, 50 plus fights, 50 fights in all the different states. But he also has to come home, which he barely comes home. But indeed, he does from time to time, coming up with the same rhetoric as he does every 2 years, talking about how he's a moderate and all this stuff. Grant, what I think is kind of interesting and definitely puts a lot of wind into your sail, Governor Andrew Cuomo, who in the beginning of the year you're thinking, oh, this guy can't be touched, he's going to just blow this away. Now I think he's having trouble. I think his campaign's taking on water. You hear not only, and as I said on the program a couple of days ago, Democrats in Albany, they either get convicted, indicted, or they just step down and retire out of office. So you're going to have, Grant, this huge wave of conservatives and of Republicans coming out in November to vote, I think.
John, I think you're exactly right. Right now, all the polling shows really unprecedented support for Republican candidates. There was a national poll that was just shot last week, and it showed that right now, nationally, Republicans have a 5+ point advantage generically in races for Congress. And if you look back historically, normally Democrats have an advantage. So this is a huge swing. This is a much better result than we saw just 4 years ago in 2010, which, as you know, was a banner Republican year. But look, I think this isn't just about poll numbers. People are sick and tired of Barack Obama and his minions, his right-hand man Steve Israel, his cheerleader Nancy Pelosi, and they're tired of it. They're tired of the destructive economic policies. They're tired of the high taxes. They're tired of having no economic growth. They're tired of no jobs being created. We saw them, and the dishonesty. You saw just this past week that the White House was crowing about the labor statistics showing 280,000 new jobs allegedly created. But what they didn't talk about was that 750,000 people left the labor force at the same time. So what does that mean? That's a net loss of 500,000.
And Grant, yeah, go ahead.
So I think people are tired of Barack Obama and Steve Israel and Nancy Pelosi, lying to them and playing political games and damaging the economy.
And Grant Lally, quite frankly, in this type of gubernatorial year, a governor's race, a lot has to play as far as who's at the top of the ticket. So you've got Cuomo on the top of his ticket. It looks as though it's going to be Astorino on top of our ticket. And, at first you're thinking Cuomo's going to be a big draw, but let me tell you something. Cuomo's Common Core looks like he's taking in a lot of water. It may even sink him, quite frankly, because he supported it, he implemented it, and now he's trying to backpedal. And I don't think the American people, and certainly Long Islanders, aren't going to put up with it. Now, another thing is Common Core comes from Washington, D.C. I, quite frankly, think that Long Islanders, New Yorkers, and across the country, I think the states are sick and tired of the federal government telling them what they can and cannot do. I think that when you put those two together, Grant Lally, as far as Cuomo not drawing the votes, and I was just reading an article about how he's getting worried. He's actually hiring some Republican strategists to figure out what to do with his failing campaign at this point. But that plays an important role on Long Island and in congressional races. And I'm sure you're not taking your eye off that ball because it's important.
No, exactly, John. And look, what has gone on with Common Core, and look, we have a lot of excellent school districts here on Long Island, and parents are very concerned about making sure that we have the best education for our kids here. And what's happened with this Common Core is it's really a dumbing down of our educational standards, and this is the sort of thing the Democrats have been pushing for years, and it's now backfired on them. And it's astonishing to see Andrew Cuomo now backpedaling on something that he was very enthusiastically pushing just a couple months ago.
Oh, he certainly was. And another thing, Grant Lally, in my opinion, we have to impress upon people what I find if it wasn't sad, it'd be absolutely hysterical and so funny. Is we always get so excited about how these congressional and federal figures come to our communities, telling us about how much money they're bringing into our communities, how much federal money that they're responsible for to bring back into the community. Meanwhile, the people have to be reminded that for every dollar we send down to Washington, D.C., we're only getting 75 cents back. So it's our money. Steve Israel, McCarthy, Bishop, they're not bringing us any federal money. They're just giving us less of our own money that we gave to them.
Well, John, it's actually worse than that, because it's a trick, and people like Steve Israel voted for the largest tax increase in American history, the Obama tax increase. He didn't just vote for it; he was one of Barack Obama's whips. He was one of his leaders in Congress that pushed through that huge tax increase, but also pushed through Obamacare, which is itself a massive tax increase. And not only is it a tax increase, it actually hits our area disproportionately hard. So now Steve Israel is running around the district, and I've counted it. He's now proposed eight bills, which he claims are going to give people tax credits. But guess what? He doesn't have a single co-sponsor on these. All he produces, besides high taxes, are press releases with empty paper about